If you are looking to improve your mental health, this is the place that you're going to receive and learn how to use your MSU to live a delicious life. We all make stuff up. Get it? MSU? So why not make up the good stuff? Here's the thing. Even though you may not have a mental illness, does not mean you have good mental health. And that is where we want to show you how to use this MSU. I'm Wendy Watkins, the host of Making Stuff Up with Wendy, and I am here to change the conversation we're having about mental health. My guest today is Adam Deathe, recently moved lock, stock, and barrel to the USA from the UK. Developing a new life is yet another challenge that he has risen to and is thoroughly enjoying it. He's exploring new sites, taste, sports, and at last, decent weather. And he's surprised about how much he's taken to football, baseball, and basketball. Well, you live in Atlanta, good year to be here. This adventure confirms what is important to him: family, travel, exploring new cultures, and cooking, especially cakes. Adam,
Definitely.
cake.
Cake is the answer to everything.
You think?
Oh, my word, yes. I mean, you have it at hatches, matches, dispatches. Cake is everywhere, isn't it?
Well, I love that. That's using an MSU in the way that I like to think about cake. Awesome. Awesome. I'm so glad you're here.
Well, thank you for having me.
Yes, yes. And I'm so glad all of our viewers are here as well. Thank you all for joining us on Making Stuff Up with Wendy. This show comes out weekly, and if it's something you enjoy, please subscribe and share it with your friends. So, Adam, let's take care of some business first. I am so excited to give you your MSU. Congratulations, my friend.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
You're welcome. Yes.
Yay. Going to go on the wall.
You can hang it on your wall with all your other accomplishments in life.
Oh, I'm going to blow it up.
All right, good. So now you have your MSU, and all of you watching have your MSU, because we all make stuff up. So let's learn how to make the good stuff up. Before we jump in, I also just want to share that today's conversation is a more edutainment. We're going to be talking about having good mental health. And if you are having any type of struggle right now, please call the number on the screen, or it's in the comments as well, and take care of yourself. All right. So making stuff up, having an MSU, Adam. You know, I don't know about you, but I feel like I've been making stuff up the majority of my life. Right. And using my MSU in ways that have served me. Right. And like I make up every day when I wake up that something good is going to happen today. That's made up because I don't know. And then it sends me on my way. How do you define this whole concept of making stuff up?
For me, it's something I've learned relatively recently, because I think I was guilty of something that a majority of people are, and it feels as though you get stuck in a rut, perhaps a mental rut more so than anything, and you feel as though you're constrained by family, society, yourself as to how you should be in yourself. Even if you're in a room on your own, you feel as though I've got to act in a certain way. But then quite relatively recently, I suddenly realized that that's not the case. I can wake up and decide how I want to be that day. And I've learned some tricks. For me, I love going to the gym. And as much as I love going to the gym, I hate the thought of having to go to the gym. So I'm not one of these people that can go to the gym after work. So I go as soon as I wake up, which is typically sort of around 4 o'clock in the morning. So I'm off down there to the gym. And that just gives me the push to get on with the day, really. And I love.
Wait, did you just say 4 o'clock in the morning?
Yes.
Oh, okay. God, I'm making something up about that. That's commitment, my friend. That is commitment.
Well, I kind of stir naturally that sort of time. So I regularly am awake before the alarm goes off. The alarm just tells me it's time to get out of bed to go to the gym, and go down there for a couple of hours, then come back and have breakfast. And I'm not a big believer in rushing in the morning, but getting up at 4 o'clock, I don't typically have to rush in the morning, which is great. No,
you don't. Plenty of time.
So it's great. Yes, I love to sort of set my day out early, figuring out what I'm going to do, and then figuring out what I'm going to make up for the day.
I love that, how the concept of what am I going to make up for the day?
Mm-hmm.
Like, how do I want this day to be versus how is the day going to be? It's a very different question.
Mm-hmm. Yes, very much so. And I have noticed that the days that I'm not able to get to the gym, I do have very different days. I mean, I know we talked about cake at the start and it being the answer to everything, really. And for me, it kind of is, because I love baking, I love cooking, but especially baking. Been baking all my life, really. So I did it with my gran and my mum when I was young. I did it with my boys when they were young. And for me, the cake it'll always feature in a weekend, and it will be as a bit of a celebration because I might have had a really good week, be it at the gym or at work and that sort of thing, or for commiseration. Because I think, well, the week's been that bad, so really, what's this going to hurt? And then that in itself becomes motivation for the following week, because I think, well, actually, no, that was good. So yeah, to me, it is very much a state of mind, really. But I do get frustrated about boxes and people being put into boxes, because I don't like the notion of being confined or identified by a label, really. And obviously, we both know Runa Magnusdóttir.
Yes.
From Iceland, very interesting lady, and her colleague Nicholas Haynes, and they did a lot of work around boxes, and it was very interesting doing some reading and having conversations with them about that in itself is all a state of mind as well.
Yes, absolutely. Have you had that experience where you've used your MSU to either put someone in a box or take them out of a box?
Yes, I think we've all put people in boxes, be it deliberately or subconsciously, and I'm more aware of it now, and I'm desperate to sort of rein back my conversational thought process. And it was a few years ago when I really started giving this some thought, and rather than putting people in boxes, I tend to think of people as door keys now. And I'm always interested in somebody's lock, because if you're a door key, then naturally you're going to have a lock as well that you're going to fit into. Do you mind if I draw something? Will that help?
No, sure, go ahead.
We're
making stuff up, Adam. Let's just go for it.
People in the UK will understand the reference to Blue Peter and wishing that here's one I made earlier. But what I would do is, if I get a pen, draw a line here. So got a line on a piece of paper, and across the bottom, we're going to have personality traits. Okay. So obviously we've all got different types of personality traits, whether we're shy, bashful, gregarious, whatever. And it's every form of personality trait. So they go along the bottom, and then we all have individual traits, and you could perhaps mark them out of 10. So you'll have varying different degrees of how people are. So you'll have these points along, and then you can just gently join those dots up, and so you end up with the jagged edge.
Yes.
Now, each one of those is going to be individual for every single person. And to me, that identifies somebody rather than a label and this sort of thing. So it's rather than saying somebody is, I don't know, I don't even want to use the labels. I'd much rather see the individual and actually play to their strengths, because as much as these might be high points or low points, they're all individual characteristics, and they can all be strengths or weaknesses. And I think it's important that we actually identify those in ourselves, but also in each other.
Yes. Well, and you're speaking to something, being able to know your personality traits, your level. So wait, the traits were at the bottom, and what was on the top?
So these are the traits, and that's how, I guess, on a scale of 1 to 10, how much you are of that trait. So whether you
okay.
I'm actually quite reserved, but when I was younger, I realized that I wasn't going to get anywhere in life if I was quiet and sort of the wallflower and this sort of thing, and had absolutely no self-confidence at all, and I still don't really have that much self-confidence. But I realized, I guess, making stuff up, that I thought, right, I've just got to jump in with 2 feet. And that's what I did. So whatever the situation, I thought, right, I'm just going to go for it, because ultimately, it's true as they say, you don't know what anybody else is thinking, and they don't know what you're thinking.
Right.
So if you can make that bit up that you need to give yourself not necessarily the confidence, but just the wherewithal to get onto that stage, or to write that letter, or to make that phone call, it can really change your day, your week, your life, really.
Yes. Yes, that one little shift, right?
Yeah, and that's all that's needed. All that's needed.
Now, I'm curious, because you mentioned your commitment to your physical health, right? To working out, eating right. I'm sure all those go together, drinking water and eating cake, which is good for our mind, body, and spirit. Yeah. Right. What about, do you do exercises for your mental health?
I'm sure I do. I must do. I've regularly taken time to perhaps counsel myself. I realized a few years ago that I've actually probably been depressed a majority of my life. And I was about 30 when I had what could be described as a bit of a breakdown. And I was at home. I was struggling with various different things. And I was actually in that very dark place that sometimes you need to cry for help. And I'd been thinking about ending things, basically, between you, me, and the gatepost. And I realized that there was a moment when I was in a state of mind where I was seriously considering ending things. And I saw an opportunity to do so. And I was at home, I was doing some DIY, some renovations, and I was changing a light fitting. And the ceiling I was working on was quite high. It was a good sort of 15 feet. And so I've got a tall step ladder, and I was up there, and I suddenly realized that if I turned the power back on and pretended that I'd forgotten to turn it off, that when I touched the wires, it would blow me off the ladder. And if the electricity hadn't killed me, the fall would. And I was within seconds of grabbing those wires. And as I went like that, I could see my son's face. And at that moment, I thought, no, I can't do it. And that's when I really started to talk with myself, not talk to myself, but talk with myself and talk through things. And I took myself down off the ladder, walked up to the doctors and said, I need help. And it was, as people talk about an alcoholic, you can only help an alcoholic if they say, I'm an alcoholic. And I said, I'm depressed. And that was probably the biggest moment of realization I've ever had, because then it explained various things about my past, how I felt about myself, my personality. And it certainly shaped my future, really, because I'm a lot more aware now of my triggers and how it makes me feel during the course of the day. But also, I try and be a little bit more empathetic when talking with other people, trying to support other people, be they friends, family, but work colleagues as well.
Yeah. Adam, thank you so much for your vulnerability and for sharing that story. Because I know I've been there with you, not with you, but I know that feeling. And I'm really glad that you know how to talk to yourself.
Yes.
Right? Because those moments, it's a moment, and it could change everything. And so I'm very glad for that. And this skill of counseling yourself, right, of being able to converse with yourself about what is happening sounds so beneficial, to be able to just kind of clean it up.
Yes.
Is it as beneficial for you as like doing that self-counseling? And because I'm sure you continue to do that.
Yeah, well, yes, very much so. I mean, that's one of the things I think about in the gym. In the gym every morning is not just a case of what am I going to be doing that day, but that's my time. There's sort of, I'm not conversing with anybody else really. I'm just sort of in the zone, as they say, and that's my time. So it's not just physical well-being, it is mental well-being as well.
Yeah, yeah. And they do really go together, you know, they help each other. So yeah, the mental health workout
Yeah,
is just as important as that physical health workout.
Yeah, very much so. And the thing that always makes me smile is that my blood group is B positive. So even though I know I've been depressed the vast majority of my life, I've got B positive running through me 24/7. And
oh my gosh, that is the best way to use your MSU. Be positive. It's just who I am.
Exactly. So no matter how rubbish I feel about things, I think, nope, got to be positive. It's going to be fine.
That's fantastic. That's fantastic. So Adam, I'd like to move into the MSU challenge with you if we could.
Okay. Yes, I'm excited by this.
So I'm going to give you a challenge.
Okay.
I pick these challenges just come up for me. I just want you to know everybody gets a different challenge.
Oh, really? All right. Okay.
Yes, yes. So the challenge, your MSU challenge is, and is to, if you were to be quoted around the power of making stuff up and good mental health, what would your quote be?
Oh my word, my quote.
What would you make up? What, yeah, let's make it up right now.
Do you know, the first thing that came to mind was the fact that I love travel, and it's about charting your own course. And that's the only thing I can come up with, really. But I think that you can apply that to pretty much any situation. If you can chart your own course, and now sometimes you might need the help of other people, and we all need help from other people at times, but even asking for help can be a really big step. And sometimes pride gets in the way, sometimes the situation can be difficult. But if we're able to ask for that help, I think we can pretty much all chart our own course.
So it's something like if you're charting your own course with others, then you
if there's something about the journey
enjoy the journey.
Yes, yeah, definitely charting your own course with others and you will enjoy the journey.
Yeah. By Adam Deathe with an A.
Yes, Adam Deathe with an E. It's a very important E, that finally. You can see why I didn't become a doctor, can't you?
Yeah.
Probably a psychologist would have been fine, but not a doctor.
No. I love that, though. It's so powerful. If you're charting your own course and allow others to join you, you'll truly enjoy the journge.
Yes, I think so. I mean, I enjoy my journey now, certainly. And I've got here because of crikey, it's just using the same metaphor, isn't it? Those stormy waters, and this sort of thing. Those difficult periods. If you're able to look back on it and learn something from it, and it's typically about yourself rather than other people or other situations, then I think you can accept things more easily.
Yeah,
and that's key to it as well, about making stuff up. You've got to be able to accept things about yourself and some of the things we don't like.
Yes.
So we can make stuff up about those as well, because ultimately we're the only ones that know really what's going on in our head. So just make stuff up. Yeah.
And make stuff up and make up the good stuff about yourself.
Yes.
Right. It kind of reminds me of that fake it till you make it concept, right? Of being able to see yourself, feel yourself as a success, fulfilled, productive person you want to be.
Very much so, yeah, because I'm assuming we've all pretty much had imposter syndrome at some time. And again, nobody else knows how you're feeling. So whether it's a case of just putting a smile on and thinking the show must go on, just getting out there and doing what you need to do to fake it until you make it.
Yes. And I think a lot of us are out there doing that sometimes, right?
Aren't we all?
Right. So, it's just out there doing it. And when we could make stuff up, and just coming back around to what you said about putting people in boxes, when we have, what I'm hearing here is true, when you have compassion and empathy, it's easier when you have that for yourself and for others, right? Because you have to have it for yourself first.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have it for others, then it's easy to partner with others along the journey and enjoy it.
Yes, very much so. Very much so, because we don't know what difference we're going to make to somebody's day by even the small actions. I can remember thinking as a child, really, that you could have two people and they're walking down the street. And whether you believe in fate and destiny or not, it's entirely up to you. But I do believe that we all have paths to follow and this sort of thing. And there's one individual walking down the street and they have the cure for cancer, say. Not at that moment in time, but they will develop in due course, but they're having a really, really rubbish day. Somebody opens the door for them and just says good morning, does nothing else, just says, opens the door and says good morning, and then they pass. But that brief interlude just changed the perspective of that individual, how they saw the world, and perhaps they thought, oh, actually, today is going to be a better day, because you had no idea what they were going to do before they walked through that door. And perhaps that person hadn't opened the door for them and perhaps even shut it in their face. It could have spun the world in a completely different cycle.
Yes.
So it's not necessarily about just doing nice things for everybody all the time and being kind. It is just being perhaps considerate of the situation.
Yes.
And perhaps being a little more aware of the impact we can have on the lives of other people just by those little actions.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Small shifts make big impacts. Little actions. Yes. Oh my gosh.
Chaos theory, isn't it? And the butterfly in South America.
Yes, yes. Wow, so many nuggets here, Adam.
Yes, I'm enjoying this.
Yeah. So one of the opportunities we all have, and thank you for those of you that are viewing Making Stuff Up with Wendy. So glad that you're here. And if you're enjoying this conversation, please subscribe right down there below and share this with someone that may need a little help in learning how to make stuff up to improve their mental health. This concept of, like you mentioned, making the impact with someone by a small gesture, right? So I guess the invitation is almost, instead of random acts of kindness, what would the world be like with intentional acts of kindness? You know, and if we made stuff up that to me, helping others feels so good. So if I'm not feeling so good, I'm just going to go over there and make something up that I could help somebody else, and that will help me feel good. Sometimes you have to get out of yourself to be able to experience that. The other nugget I heard from you was that there is no such thing as failure. That if you can take some time and reflect and learn from something, then you are not failing. It was just an opportunity to grow.
Very much so. I mean, I've been a big believer for quite some time that you shouldn't be afraid to make mistakes and to get things wrong, because they're just points of learning. And again, whether it's sort of professional development or personal growth or whatever, if we're able to look at ourselves and to talk things through, then we develop as individuals. And whether we're making stuff up or consciously thinking about, well, where did I go wrong with that? They're all points of learning, and you can't fail if you're learning.
Absolutely. Nugget right there also. So for those of you watching, think about that. What are you making up in those situations where you're talking to yourself about what maybe didn't go the way you thought that it would? Right? That here's the opportunity to really use your MSU to support you in feeling good so you could do good. Right? Beautiful. So Adam, as we wrap up, any other juicy nuggets you want to share with our listeners?
Well, for me, it comes down to Kate, as I've said. And I think it always comes down to the fact that there are times when we're talking to ourselves, we're listening to ourselves, we're growing, but ultimately, there's nothing wrong with having a nice cup of tea and a piece of cake and just thinking, this is my time. So as much as I have time in the gym in the morning and I'm trying to keep fit, I'm going to undo it all with a cup of tea and a piece of cake. And do you know what? It's absolutely fine.
Yes.
I'm not going to beat myself up about anything like that. If it's something I enjoy, it's not hurting anybody else, it's fine by me.
Absolutely. Well, cheers to that. I'm with you on a cup of tea. I don't have my cake yet, but I'm ready.
I haven't even got a cup of tea at the moment. I'm on water.
I know you're still on water.
I drink way too much tea. I'm a walking stereotype, really, at times.
That sounds like a whole nother conversation, a whole nother show there.
Isn't it? Yes.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, thank you again for your time, Adam.
Thank you. It's been an absolute pleasure. I love talking with you, Wendy.
Excellent. And we'll have to do it again sometime soon. And thank you to all of our listeners and viewers for joining us today. And remember, you're all out there making stuff up. So make sure you make up the good stuff. Have a great day.
Bye-bye.